Right here, right here. Look at me. Okay, why not?
All right, Mrs. K, what are you going to make us do this time?
Looks a little odd.
I don't know how to do this.
The credit and the recognition that sometimes I don't get. You might just become a teacher.
You see your teachers in a new light.
Oh, not. That's weird. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am doing a new series on teachers and educators. Why? Because they're awesome. Not just because one of them is my wife, but because I have lots of friends and neighbors and colleagues that do an awesome job every day with kids. I mean, they truly are an inspiration to our kids, and they just make it a joy for our kids to go to school every single day. So today I'd like to introduce you to Kristine. Kristine is a longtime friend. We've known each other for how long now?
Oh, a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
At least 15 years because you were in our wedding, but you've known my
Absolutely.
husband way longer.
Yes. I've known her husband Andy for a long, long time. We go way back since high school and middle school, really.
Mm-hmm.
Really. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you became a teacher?
Okay. I grew up in Western New York in a very, very small town called Newfane. I decided to do my undergraduate at Baldwin Wallace. And then from there, I went and did my master's degree at the University of Akron. And now I teach. I've taught in the same school district this is my 18th year. I've done everything from 5 through 12 band to marching band, 7 through 12 choir, and now I'm K to 4 general music. So music is my world, and I've taught a little bit of everything.
Yes, we talk a lot about music. I love music. I know you love music. Your whole family likes music. So what was it that said to you, well, I want to be a music teacher?
Well, I knew I always wanted to be a teacher.
Mhm.
I was one of those weird kids who would take your paper and put it up in your bedroom and give each person a pencil and put name cards for how the class was. And then I would write on my dresser all the math problems. Like I was a big dork with that. So I knew teaching, that was in my blood. Main reason I wanted to become a teacher, I guess, in general is those light bulb moments that when you would go through, because I know when I would teach my fake class, I would teach them my homework. And then by teaching it, I was basically just reviewing what my teachers taught me, and I figured out how to do my own homework. So it was more kind of the light bulb moment that I was like, yep, this is what I like. And I knew it was music because I wanted to teach kids how to love music.
If you watch my other videos, you see this pattern a lot in teachers. A lot of teachers growing up taught either their friends or their siblings or their stuffed animals. Did you ever do that?
Oh, yes. Yep, stuffed animals, Cabbage Patch Kid dolls, all of it, you name it.
Yes. So kids, if you're watching this and you are setting up your basement or your bedroom or your siblings and teaching, you might just become a teacher.
This is true, very true.
Is there someone in your life as you were growing up that inspired you, that really said, you know what, I want to be like that person, or I want to be a teacher so I can do what they do?
There were two teachers, one in particular. His name was Moose. Everybody called him Moose. He was my high school band director. He was the one that when just going into his class, it was one of those where you looked forward to going to his class. It was fun, it was engaging, it was energetic, and you learned without realizing you were learning. And through him and just the relationships that you saw him, how he talked to his colleagues, and I was like, yep, that solidified it for me. I knew that, like I said, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I actually was going to be a math teacher, but then when I went into high school, I was like, nope, that's it.
I would say we all have that one teacher or two teachers that we really look up to. When we can look back and we can name them, whether it's Moose or Mr. Smith or whomever it is, you can look back and say, that teacher was awesome. And they touched my soul and really made me want to become a teacher.
Right.
Did you say you had another person that was inspirational?
Yeah, the other one, she was a math teacher. We called her Mama Cam. So we, in high school, we had what was called peer leadership. And it was a group after school act club. We would do high ropes courses and team building activities. And we would go on these weekend trips, and Moose was part of it, and Mama Cam was part of it. And it was just one where you see your teachers in a new light and how much they care for their kids. she showed me the nurturing part of being an educator. Like if I ever go back to my hometown, she's one that I visit, and now Moose is retired, but he was always the other one I would go visit.
Hmm. Are you still friends with them? Do you communicate with them now as an adult?
I do. Moose, I communicate with on Facebook a lot. He was one when I first got my high school job. He was my go-to person to be like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
What would you do? Because as a first-year teacher, you always you need those helps.
Either of those teachers may be watching, so you can give them a shout out.
Hello, Mrs. Cam. Hello, Moose.
Is there one experience that you can think about with a student that really touched your heart that said, "Oh boy, that's why I became a teacher"?
Yes, there's a couple, but the big one was my last year of teaching high school. Before I went down to elementary, I was teaching both band and choir at the time, and we were at graduation, and they brought the choir up to sing the alma mater, so I went up with the kids, and all of a sudden my one senior student went up on stage, and I didn't know why, because you have the script, you practice it. This wasn't part of what we practiced.
And all the administrators like, "What is going on?"
Well, here he had written a speech. He had cleared it with the administration, but he wanted it to be a surprise. And he had basically a farewell speech for me, which was truly touching because here it was their graduation ceremony. It was all about the kids. And he had a speech that he had written for me as a farewell to me and what everything I had done for the high school and for his journey and for other kids' journeys.
Mhm.
And it was we'll miss you, good luck, thank you. And that was really big. That was really nice.
Yeah, those types of episodes are heartwarming and touching. Teachers love that. So, kids, if you're watching this and you want to make a difference to a teacher, do something special for them because they absolutely love it. We love it. And that's something that we will always remember.
And it doesn't, like now teaching elementary, it doesn't even have to be like something big like that. Kids will come up and they'll be like, I made this for you. And it could just be a picture that they colored, but they put your name on it and it was made specifically for you. Just those little things that are like, yeah, I thought about you. Or I actually just had a parent message me this morning. They went to COSI and their daughter was playing. There's the xylophones, basically, or the different pipes that look like a xylophone outside, and they're playing them. And we had just learned how to play these in music class, and so she was quoting things that I told her in class, and she was just playing away, and she was so happy. And it's things like that that the mom was like, I just had to share this with you.
Yes. You truly make a difference. Every day you're doing something, every day you are, whether it's correcting behavior or teaching them a specific skill, you are shaping the lives of young students.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about a few very positive things. Now, as a teacher, like I said, I'm married to one and I work with them every single day. There are frustrating things every day. Teaching is a frustrating profession. What is one thing that really frustrates you as a teacher?
The most frustrating part for me is when the kids don't want to try. When like teaching music, it's all about participating. And I am not a teacher that gives them a music book and we sit and we do music out of a book. We are up, we are moving. So for kids that don't want to participate, gets frustrating to me. And I know kids have different comfort levels and they have to work and feel comfortable into it. But ones that just flat out say, no, I don't want to do it, and they don't give you a reason why, that frustrates me.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing you're constantly trying to find ways to motivate them to either want to participate or actually participate.
Yes. So there's different things that you could do to try to get them to feel comfortable. That's the main thing. Because once the kids feel comfortable in the room and they're comfortable expressing themselves, then you've got them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of finding what that hook is for
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah. Because even though we may love music, not everyone loves music, even though they're participating in it.
Right.
And that's tough to find that hook or that special thing that makes the child say, Oh, okay, I get it now.
Hmm.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about that light bulb moment.
Right.
Okay, here's a touchy subject. What about parents? What do you wish parents would know about either your classroom or teaching in general?
For me, is that it's not just music class, that there's more to music than just the word music, because so much research has been done about what kids that study music, not just in elementary school, but especially in middle school and high school, how much that impacts their brain. And I wish parents would realize that, instead of saying, oh, music is too much effort, it takes too much time for them to practice, they have other things that they need to do. Well, maybe those other things, and I'm not knocking sports or anything like that, because I'm a big sports person
Hmm.
too, but it's one where they can go hand in hand. It's not that, oh, it's music, it takes too much time, we're not going to do it because it's not going to help you anyway. There's a lot of research that's been done that actually shows with a child's brain how much that it improves their brain.
Hmm.
And I wish parents would know that and try to help encourage their kids to be creative and have that musical journey.
On my last interview, I interviewed Andrea, and we talked about the things that fill your cup, social emotionally. Me personally, it's music. I love listening to music, I love playing music, and that kind of re-energizes me on a daily basis. And I'm guessing that does to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's social emotional. It's teaching them different things. It's teaching them how to struggle and how to succeed after they've struggled.
You're teaching them how to deal with conflicts, because that, I mean, that's a big thing right now, is a lot of children don't understand when they have a conflict with another student how they handle it. And especially in music, you don't even think about it, but you struggle when you're practicing something, so you figure out a way around it. You don't just give up on it. So it's all those little things that help, like you said, help fill your cup to make you a well-rounded person.
Mhm. I just thought of a different question. Being a music teacher, what do you think is the most challenging instrument or lesson to actually teach?
I think it's more of getting the kids to not give up, because so many kids think, oh, well, I'm not good at a flute, so I'm going to switch to trumpet because there's only 3 buttons, it's easier to play.
Hmm.
And that's not necessarily the case. It's very much an individual basis. Depending on the person, is what instrument works for them. So it's getting them to keep persevering and not giving up on something. So it's not really a specific lesson, but it's more of that life skill of, you can do this, give it a little bit. I always give them the story that when I started, I played flute, and it took me 6 weeks to make a sound on a flute, not just to play it, but to physically, just the mouthpiece, get a sound that wasn't air. And I remember crying because I couldn't do it. Everyone around me could do it, but me personally, I knew that I was going to do it.
Hmm.
I wasn't going to let it beat me. So, but there's kids that don't have that thought. So it's just getting them and helping them, seeing that, no, you can do it. And maybe you get the sound out, but you're like, you know what? Yes, I got it, but this isn't for me. So we're like, all right, let's try this one then.
My assumption as a music teacher is that you want your students to practice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether you have practice logs or you ask parents to have students practice on a regular basis. How do you wish students would practice or prepare for class?
I've done the practice logs,
Hmm.
and I found that parents just sign them and the kids don't practice. So I try to entice them. So when I taught beginning band, I would do tassels, kind of like they have them for like recorder,
Okay.
but I would find certain songs in their book, and they had to play these songs to earn the tassels. And each song was specifically chosen to fit a specific task I was working on.
Hmm.
And the kids could go ahead if they wanted to. So you have those overachievers. And then you had the kids that struggled. And I would tell them, that yes, it's for a grade, but it's a grade that if you can't do it yet, you can come back and you can do it.
Hmm.
And then I can readjust your grade. Like, even if it's a test that you took from the first quarter and we're now in the third quarter, I can go back and I do a grade change in a book, and that's not a big deal, especially with like main office. There's a form, but not a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's one where by doing those little challenges for the kids, then it's not just like, oh, I have to practice because I have a test coming up. It was, I want to get my green tassel.
Yeah.
Or the person next to me has their green. I want to go ahead and get the next one. And I now see it in my son because his school has a similar thing. And he's like, I want to be the first one that gets my brown belt.
Yes.
You know, it's those little things that make it fun and make it rewarding for them.
Yeah. It's almost like a karate belt system.
Yes.
Right.
And then if they're all done and they get a certificate and they get their picture and it goes on a wall. And even if they don't get all the way through, it is one where they still have something for each benchmark that they've gotten to.
Okay.
So that it's not like, oh, I didn't make it there, I failed. It's they get something at each benchmark.
You teach which grade levels right now?
Right now I'm teaching kindergarten through 4th.
Do you see that high school kids still like rewards and things like that as well?
For me, yes, but I think that's more because I've had them since 5th grade. The kids know me. They know what I like to do, and all my little quirks and things like that, they've just accepted and know that that's me. I can't speak for those that have one teacher in middle school and then they have a separate teacher in high school, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I know my high schoolers did. They bought into whatever I did because I had already built that rapport with them, so they knew that I had their best interest. Like I would go to a music ed convention, and it's always in February, and the kids, my high schoolers were the best because when I would come back from it, they'd be like, all right, Mrs. K, what are you going to make us do this time? Because they knew that it was, I learned something cool, let's try it. Sometimes they were awesome, sometimes they were duds, but they're like, all right, let's go. So just having that rapport, I think if you have the rapport with them, they'll buy into like the little tchotchke stuff and things like that. You just have to create that environment. If you don't buy into it, then they're not going to.
Yeah, it's really about the relationship between the teacher and the child.
Right.
And if they trust you, if they respect you, then they'll pretty much follow you anywhere.
Right.
So we've talked about COVID a lot in my videos, and I would assume again that COVID was really difficult for you being a music teacher.
Yes.
What was one of the toughest things that you had to deal with?
We couldn't sing. In order for me to sing, we went outside. We had to stay masked, but we went outside onto the basketball court. So while recess is literally going on 2 feet from the end of the basketball court, I'm trying to have music class. So, and we're trying to sing, so I can't really assess them because they're all 6 feet apart and they all have their masks on. So it's very hard for me to hear them. So it was more just, all right, let's try to sing and play games, which was fine until then the weather got colder and then we were inside, which made things, then I had to record all my songs. So my kids could not sing in class. They just had to listen to my recording that I made, which that's not the point of, you're not making music. The kids aren't making music. So that was my biggest struggle. We do a lot of movement and a lot of dances and things like that. Creatively, I was able to manipulate those and make those manageable and make those work. So they're at least moving to music, but the singing part was really, really hard.
That would be frustrating. If you weren't able to teach anymore for whatever reason, or you decided to stop teaching, what do you think you would do for a career?
This is going to be really weird, very weird. If I wasn't going to be a music teacher, then I wanted to join the Air Force and be a mechanic for airplanes. So I don't know at this point in my life if I would actually join the Air Force, but I think that I would probably do something mechanically, which is a completely whole different realm.
Absolutely.
But I think that's what I would do.
And what interests you about the mechanics or airplane engines or any of that? What sparked that interest?
My dad owned his own RV repair business my whole life growing up. So I would always go and I would help him. I loved getting dirty. I loved getting greasy. And I loved seeing how things work, wiring different things and just putting pieces back together. It was just intriguing to me. I think that would be something that, because I had a passion for it and I knew I liked it, that that's where I would go. Like I thought that if I wasn't going to be a music teacher, that I could also carry on my dad's business when he retired and he was done with it. But my path didn't go that way. But I think it would be fun just to tinker and just to try it.
Do you think any of your students know that about you?
I don't think so.
What do you think they would say knowing that you would love to do that and get dirty and really get into an engine or something like that?
I think it would shock them. I think my high schoolers would be like, yeah, that sounds like more like Mrs. K. But my younger ones, I think they'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes. Any of you that are subscribers to my channel probably have seen the RV and the camper hacks and the fixes that I've done. We camp together, so we trade stories and fix things. I mean, I can't tell you how many things I have fixed with Kristine's husband, Andy. Andy, if you're watching this, we've been through a lot together. Thank you for sharing that.
And not a problem. Thank you for having me on this.
Absolutely. What do you wish non-educators would know about teachers?
I wish that they would know that we don't go in the profession for summers off. We don't go into the profession for it's a 7:30 to 2:30 job. We go into this profession because we love what we do. We want to teach kids. Yes, we have what we teach. Like I'm a music teacher. At one point you were a science teacher, but our main thing is we teach kids. And I wish they would know that because there's so much work that we do outside of our normal daily hours that we have to be there. We don't punch a clock. Sometimes we're there till 6 o'clock at night. When I taught marching band, I would go in at 7 o'clock and I'd come home at 9:30 at night. It's what you do because you want what's best for them. So you do whatever you can to give them your best.
Yeah, 14-hour days are tough, especially for a marching band director or music teacher or really any teacher. There's so much that has to go into the after hours work, bringing work home. About how much time do you spend after school on a daily basis on lesson plans or grading or anything like that?
Oh, it's constant. So there's probably at least 3 hours. And now when you have a family, trying to find that balance is really hard. I mean, that's why I stopped doing marching band because I couldn't give my high school kids everything they needed, as well as give my own personal kids what they needed. So I knew that I had to give, even though I loved doing high school band and marching band, that I had to let that go so that someone else could give them what they needed because I had to be there for my kids.
You're constantly being pulled in so many different directions.
Yes.
Thanks again.
Anytime.
Do you have any questions for me? So
you have a YouTube channel. So what is your end goal with it? Like, why'd you start it and what do you want to do with it?
The reason I started it's kind of a funny story. When COVID shut down everything, I wanted to keep exercising and all the facilities were closed. So I started going on Facebook Marketplace and buying weights and plates and bars and that type of stuff. But I didn't have any type of other exercise equipment. So I started building everything, weight bench, a squat rack, pulley system. I was always watching YouTube to try and figure out how other people did it. And if I wanted to do something a little bit differently, I couldn't find a video. My kids were like, well, Dad, if you can't find it, you should make your own video. I'm like, okay, why not? That's why I first started it. And I've been doing a lot of DIY stuff. Of course, I scare Kelly a lot.
Yes.
There's only so many things I can fix in the house. And there's only so many things I can do with my camper. Because we live in the northern hemisphere and we only use the camper for 4 to 5 months out of the year, and it's in cold storage all winter. So I then started thinking, what else is really my passion? And that's education. So, we talk a lot about the positive things that teachers do and the credit and the recognition that sometimes they don't get. So that is my new trajectory here, just kind of changing that and saying, you know what? Boy, I have so many friends as teachers and I have so many colleagues as teachers. I just want to highlight those things so that people know. I mean, if you know a teacher or if your spouse is a teacher, you know those things. If you don't, there's lots of assumptions that are made.
Right.
And I wanted to kind of make that clear to my channel and anyone who wants to watch it. That's it for today. I want to thank Kristine here for everything that she does as a teacher as a classroom teacher. Students, if you have Mrs. K, hit the like button, subscribe, watch the channel. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.